Today's video has been brought to you by the Dutch Gang. Wait, what? What is going on, everyone? My name is Akris, and welcome to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course ranking of Wave 4. As you've probably seen on my channel before, once a new wave drops in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe featuring 8 new tracks in the Booster Course Pass, I am here and I'm ready to rank them for you guys. So far, we've seen Wave 1, 2, and 3 improving radically, so I hope that Wave 4 will be the exact same way. Once again, there are 8 brand new tracks ready to be ranked for you guys. I'll be going through these tracks with you guys, telling you guys what my opinions are, what I think of the tracks, and of course some super special tricks that of course you could only get right here. Once again, some of these things might be my opinions, so you can have your own opinions and definitely let me know in the comment section down below what those are. Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's jump right to the first track, which is the aforementioned Dutch track. Let's go. This has been the moment I have been waiting for this entire Booster Course Pass to flex with my Netherlands knowledge. Yes, we are in the capital of the Netherlands for the first track in the Fruit Cup, Amsterdam Drift. And I gotta be honest, as a fellow Dutch person, it's pretty accurate, except that the train is running. That is also an inside Dutch joke, so hey, let me know if you understand in the comment section down below. Anyhow, let's actually dive into the track now, which is, honestly, I would say, a pretty decent city track. I think they did everything they could have though with the material that they had. Because they start out the track nicely. I like that compared to most city tracks where you're only in the city, that you actually go outside of it as well, as you do go into a bit of the farming lands, as that is what we are also known for here in the Netherlands. Well, we actually have a ton of farmers actually. I love that they incorporated like the Monty moles there and things like that. So you go into that and go back into the city where you have like a few trams where you could go around, and then you go into lap number 2 where you go down into the canal. This is the first and I'm pretty sure the only city track with an underwater section, and I gotta be honest, you guys, we don't drive in our canals, just so that we're on the same page. I only did this for Mario Kart. I like that we go underwater, although I think, well, especially this section right here feels a little empty. Like, there are turns like going left and right and things like that. It just, I don't know, there's not a lot to do. You can't really make a shortcut happen. You're just underwater. You could do a fun trick where you go out of the water, land on a boat, and go back in. But outside of that, there's not really too much going on. After the underwater section, you go back out and you make a few turns and then go back into the water once we're into lap number 3, where we go through the tulip fields at the end. Yes, that's a type of flower that we're really known for here. Go through that field, go through a little bit more of the city, and that is it. I gotta be honest, I like the amount of shortcuts we can do in this track outside of, you know, the aforementioned canal section that I mentioned. As in like the farming lands at the start, and also the tulip field at the end, you can use a few mushrooms here and there. They're not the biggest shortcuts, but also not, you know, non-existent, which have been with quite a few of the city tracks, I feel like, where there's not really like a lot of shortcuts. And I think that's good, although in general speaking, I especially noticed this on 200cc, but also 150cc. This track doesn't feel wide enough, or just the turns just don't feel right. A lot of people have been complaining about that when it comes to the tour tracks in general. For me personally, I really only noticed it so far a whole lot on Amsterdam Drift. And that's the main reason I don't really like playing on 200cc. 150cc, it's fine. I still don't feel like all the turns are great. I feel like the tulip field and the farmlands were especially good in that regard, but a few of the other turns just feel awkward to me. They don't feel right. So I'm gonna have to go for this track and give it a nice B ranking. Great track overall. Could have maybe used a few more turns, maybe used a few more things going on in the canals. It feels a little empty, but overall, I really enjoyed it, and it's quite accurate to the Netherlands. Up next is Riverside Park, our 4th GBA remaster, and I gotta be honest, this is one of the ones I was looking forward to the most, as this track got remade back during December of 2022. In the same tour as DK Mountain. I was really looking forward to DK Mountain during that tour, but Riverside Park, that looked interesting. It's like the starter track for Mario Kart Super Circuit on the GBA. And honestly, for a starter track, it's really freaking exciting. Because if you compare it to something like Toad Circuit that we got before, so that's Mario Circuit 3, there's a whole lot more going on here. It's not as long, that is my main issue. But first, let's get into the track. As you start out, you do a nice few turns as you are in the middle of the jungle. Go over a bridge. You have a lot of the patooey plants. You can hit those with items and they will drop some of them. I like that they finally included those, as they are usually in the jungle type of areas, the main type of enemy. And then you go into this big mountain where you do one cool loop turn and just jump out of the river, and that is it. It's not like the longest thing in the entire world, but for what it's worth, it's really fun. At first, I thought it was just okay. But I gotta be honest, I've been enjoying it more and more as you play on, because there's just always, you know, turns going on. You can skip a few parts outside of like the cave turn section. So if you have a few mushrooms, you can make a few nice shortcuts happen. I love that they finally included the patooey plants, since, you know, they are, as I said previously, pretty big in terms of like the World 5. I'm pretty sure Mario Brothers Wii, and then of course in U and things like that as well. They are kind of big. Also Super Mario Bros. 3 now that I think of it. And it's really just cool to have those piranha plants here and there. Love me some piranha plant love. And yeah, honestly, really great GBA remaster, although it still suffers from the main issue I had with the other older ones, such as Boo Lake, Snowland, and Skygarden that they brought back previously. But overall, if it was just a tad bit longer, it would have been S tier, but for now, I will give it a solid A tier. I really enjoy Riverside Park. Finally, a track that is coming in that I really wanted myself personally after seeing it brought back in Tour. Even outside of that, I just really wanted to see this track come back, because I love myself DK Summit from Mario Kart Wii. And yeah, honestly, it's a really good remastering here. Really like what they did here. It does definitely feel like it's more of a Tour version rather than a Wii version in this game. They definitely took from the models of it, since especially like the beginning part where you're on the wood right before the cannon doesn't feel nearly as wide as it should. But let's just jump into the track, because that's more important. As once again, just like with most DK tracks, you go into a cannon, just get launched, and you're at the top of the mountain, and you gotta make your way back down. Sounds awfully familiar to DK Mountain, doesn't it? But no, it's actually snowy this time around. I honestly really thought they were gonna bring this track back after Wave 3, when we had was it Merry Mountain as well as Maple Treeway, which brought back the half pipes. Because if they didn't bring those back, because they weren't in 8 Deluxe before, then yeah, this track would not feel the same. Now it truly is. Although, yeah, you can definitely tell from this track, especially when you play it on 200cc, that it is one of the wackiest and jankiest tracks in the entire game. Anyways, you make your way downwards from the mountain. You go over a few trick ramps. Even more ones, which are a little too bigger than I remember them being in Wii. I do definitely feel like this track also benefited from being on Wii with the trick system, with it like slowing down when you did them in Mario Kart Wii compared to 8, where it's just a little schling and then you just continue on. Although they still feel really satisfying doing one after the other. Then you make your way past down a zigzag, or you can also go on a trick ramp or half pipe. Actually, it's called a half pipe, excuse me. And you could otherwise also do a nice double skip, which is really fun that they brought that back. Same with like Mushroom Gorge with the gap cut. You now also have, you know, the double skip from DK Mountain returning. And then you just have the final part with a few more trick ramps, Shy Guy snowboarding, and that is pretty much it. It's just a really fun, really nice ride. And especially when it comes to the snow themed tracks. I know a lot of people really like Snowland. I thought Snowland was alright. For the base game, we only really had like Sherbetland and Ice Ice Outpost, which I didn't really enjoy. But now I definitely feel like we have a banger ice track finally in this game. And I'm really happy we have this one now. DK Summit though, however, I said that before, the little bumps after the trick you do, and like I guess like the middle part of the track just feel a little too big. Shout out to my good friend Zoutamena for pointing that out, like on our first time playing through the track. Outside of that, I feel like it's pretty accurate. I just think it's a little too jank. Because of that, it does make it a lot of fun on 200cc, but sometimes when you do the new half pipes, you just get out of bounds for no apparent reason. I do feel like if they were implemented better, if they were made better, the half pipes, this track would be better in my opinion. But as it stands, I'm going to give this a solid A rank because I really like DK Summit. I just feel like a few thingies are just off and it could have been better. I'm really happy they brought back the double cut, but it's a really solid track. Now this is the one you've all been waiting for. It is time to talk about Yoshi's Island, technically from Mario Kart Tour, but also technically original. You know how you have Ninja Hideaway, Merry Mountain, as well as Sky MX Sunday. Well, this is another one of those, and honestly, this is probably, yeah, this is definitely the best track that we've gotten so far in the entire DLC, as it's kind of reminiscent from the original DLC from Mario Kart 8, or I guess the base game for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with Hyrule Circuit and Animal Crossing, and we're feeling around certain games, The Legend of Zelda and Animal Crossing respectively, where they changed up the coin systems as well as, you know, themed the entire track around the game series, and they've done that for Yoshi's Island now. And it's absolutely perfect, from the art style to all the references. Like, there's just so many to name. It's incredible. They just took the main menu, the map from Yoshi's Island, and just made a track out of it. Poochie is on the starting line on a nice little, he's just chilling there, you know? And then you just go past a few Shy Guys, go into another water section, which so far have been pretty sporadic in the DLC, so it's cool that we have a few more. Go through a nice cave and glide up to the sky, where there's a nice little fortress, also a nice reminder from Yoshi's Island. Go back down, and you can actually hit a question mark bird. I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. These are the birds with a question mark on it. I have no idea what the actual name is. I always just call them the question mark birds. And if you drive into them, a special area actually opens up, and you can ride on it, which is much faster than the regular route. You could trick off, go through the nice flower circle, which is usually the ending of Yoshi's Island, and that is pretty much the end of the track. I like at the end that even if you miss the bridge, you can still use a mushroom to go past it, but still it feels like the question mark bird is faster. Yeah, that is like the main area which you can make a comeback on. Outside that, there's not really too much, but there also shouldn't be, because like, it's Yoshi's Island. It's just, you know, you just go in it. It's just fun. It's magical. The remix is absolutely amazing, by the way, an absolute banger. And compared to the Hyrule Circuit, it's a lot more like, it just respects the game where it comes from a lot more than Hyrule Circuit. Hyrule Circuit is great and all, but like the dudes you see on the sidelines and just the area which you drive in is, it's loosely based on Zelda, but not too much. Animal Crossing too, like they try to fit everything in it quite nicely, but this actually feels like it's Yoshi's Island itself that you just drove around. My only issue with it is that it's just too short, but maybe that's just because I like it so much and that it just feels like it's just gone way too quickly. But yeah, I haven't talked a whole lot on stream about how much I like this track, but Yoshi's Island is definitely the best track this wave, and I'm gonna give it a big solid S tier. Probably the best track we've gotten in the DLC yet. Nicely done, Nintendo. Up next, we have ourselves the capital of Thailand, a track that one of our community members was looking forward to so much, which is Bangkok Rush. Yes, we got another city track. Of course, every single cup pretty much so far in the Booster Course Pass has started out with a city track. And yeah, this is no different, and Bangkok Rush looks a lot more aesthetically different than most of the city tracks so far. Most of them are just daytime, blue sky and everything. This one looks a lot more yellow, brownish, and it just looks a lot more clean like that. It looks like it's taking place at sunset and looks very beautiful. Anyways, let's just start off with it, as we start off in lap 1 through a nice river where you can trick off a few boats here and there. Honestly, really cool section. As I'm pretty sure it's based off of one of the rivers from Thailand. I don't know as much about Thailand as I do of the Netherlands with Amsterdam, so this is going to be a lot more difficult. You go through a nice market though, and I like that you have the option, and you can also go on top of the market, or you could just go through the middle and just drive as you would. Where it's actually pretty much on a train track. I'm pretty sure like that is also a thing in Thailand. Anyways, we go towards the left, and you can just drive on the main road or go up. And once again, just the ability that you get to choose which path you get to go on, and I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. It's just really cool. I like it though when you go to the upper section that there's a free double box where you could take. That really helps out for your items. Although when you go up or down the stairs, it really feels kind of janky. Definitely gives me some DK Summit vibes. And it's not too bad, but like it could have been better. Anyways, we go to lap number 2. There's a few more turns. You go for a nice market and go through one of the coolest gliding sections in the game. Honestly, so far in the DLC, we've had so many glider sections, and some of them feel pretty useless, and not like a lot is going on and everything. Here's also not a lot going on, but just getting to glide past a few buildings up high is just a really cool, really nice thing that they included. Then you go past a few crabs on a section that awfully reminds me of the ending of Coconut Mall, but then instead of some cars or some crabs with some boost panels there. As we go into lap number 3, where we go into this one building, where you do a few more turns, jump on a few nice tents, which definitely feels like the mushroom physics from Mushroom Gorge. And then you go back to the area from lap number 1, where you can either go up the janky stairs or below. And that is pretty much it. There's not really like a lot of room for like shortcuts or anything in this track, so front running is definitely going to be important on this one. Definitely reminds me in that regard of Waluigi's Pinball from Wave 2. But overall, really fun track. Definitely like the vibe, like the music a whole lot. And yeah, Bangkok is just, I don't know, it's just, there's so much variety in this city track, and it doesn't really feel like you're in a city for most of it, because usually there's like a lot of like buildings around. Yes, there is still a lot of buildings around, but it just doesn't feel like as densely populated as like one of the other city tracks, where it's just, you know, blue sky, buildings around you, main road. Doesn't really feel like you're on the main road a whole lot. Maybe for like the section where you can either go up or down. Outside now you're in the river, of course, in a building, jumping on tents. Like, it's actually really fun how much like variety there is in this track. Yeah, my main complaint then still would be that there's like no real shortcut opportunities. But yeah, that only brings back the track just a little bit. But honestly, I would say that this track is a solid A-tier city track. There's quite a few things going on, more than most of the earlier city tracks, and that's what I've been loving about the city tracks, mostly during this wave. They're just getting crazier and crazier, and Bangkok Rush really shows. Up next is another circuit track, and after wave 3, I really thought we were done with these, and yeah, this is one of the better ones in this series. I know a lot of people have been saying that and everything, but still, it's from Mario Kart DS, and we could have had in this spot maybe something like Airship Fortress, or Delfino Square, or Luigi's Mansion. Like, there's really still quite a few fan favorites from Mario Kart DS missing in 8 Deluxe, so it's really unfortunate, but on the other hand, they remastered this one pretty well. So let's jump right into what this track holds. First of all, it's a lot more elevated than before. In Mario Kart DS, it was just like a flat surface and you just drove on it. Now it feels like there's a lot more elevation in it, especially near the end. You start out, there's a few Goombas on the track, you see Peach's castle in the background, go past a few Piranha Plants. You can also make a nice shortcut if you have a mushroom there. But the Piranha Plants are spewing out fireballs, and that's usually what the Piranha Plants don't do. They usually just chomp at you, so that's really nice. They did that in Mario Kart DS too, but it looks even better in this version, of course, since it's in our nice HD graphics. You go past a pipe, and then you might see something a lot more different afterwards. The forest section feels a lot more like a forest, and not really like it's on an actual circuit. But still like a really cool section of it, and really makes it feel like a more wacky Mario Kart type of track. And there's a Wiggler lying beside the road. Now, this wasn't a thing in Mario Kart DS, but Mario Kart DS had one of the coolest modes that is exclusive to that game, and technically has been in Tour, which is a mission mode. Well, in Tours it's just random missions. In Mario Kart DS was actually like a mission mode with different worlds to complete, and one of the challenges was that you had to race against a Wiggler on DS Mario Circuit. Now, instead of bringing back mission mode, this is a really cool way to bring it back instead, as the Wiggler is just sleeping there on laps 1 and 2, but on lap number 3 he actually wakes up and goes besides the road, which is a really cool change, especially for more of a simple track. To have such a hazard in there, it's just really cool. Although I would say that it would have been better if the Wiggler was more on the middle of the road, as right now as it is, he's only really on the right of it, and it's pretty easy to dodge that. But overall, Really cool, really neat addition for more of a simple track. You jump down up next from a piece of the road. You do a few more turns, which are also nicely elevated. Do a few nice boost turns to the end, and then you go back to more of the circuit type of area, which you went to at the start. And that is pretty much it. Overall, I really like how much grass there is in this, and it might be like a weird thing to say, but like there's a thing as too much where you can skip a whole lot of it. But if you were to like go to custom items now, turn on golden mushroom, you could still skip like a whole lot of the track, but not like everything. Especially after the trick section, after the boss wiggler, but also near the start over at the Goombas, you can skip a whole lot of things. I told you guys that earlier too, of the piranha plants. You could do like a nice skip if you have a mushroom right before you go into the pipe. So there's a lot to skip here compared to a lot of the tracks that I mentioned earlier today, where there's not like a lot of like shortcuts you can do or a lot of things you can skip to make a comeback happen. But this track is definitely the polar opposite of that. I really enjoyed this track, although once again, yeah, another DS track would have been better, but overall, for a circuit track, this is a really solid one. I would still say GBA Mario Circuit is my favorite, and it's still obviously kind of mind-blowing. Now we have 4 Mario Circuits in this game, the same amount as Rainbow Road 4, where are Bowser Castles. That's a totally different discussion though, but as it stands, really nice circuit track. I'm gonna give it a nice B tier, and I hope we get to maybe still see some other bangers from Mario Kart DS in the future. Wait, GameCube tracks exist? Yeah, Waluigi Stadium is finally here as part of Wave 4, the first GameCube track to be brought back in the Booster Course Pass, and we've been waiting on it for quite a bit, and it looks visually absolutely stunning. Playing on it though is more of a decisive part, I would say. Anyways, let's jump right into GCN and Waluigi Stadium, as there are a lot of trick ramps. That's definitely what this track is known for. That was also why it was so good in Mario Kart Wii with the new trick system and everything. I definitely feel like with the engines of Mario Kart Double Dash and Wii, it really benefited a whole lot. The stage benefited so much off of that rather than this game. Since in this game, once again, it's just a sling, but in GameCube you just were flying, and in Mario Kart Wii you had like the entire slow motion thing. Anyway, so you do a nice first turn. Do a nice trick ramp. There's the skip once again, just like with DK Summit and Mushroom Gorge, they brought back pretty accurately. It's hard to pull off, but you can go over the wall. I don't know if it's worth it. It doesn't really seem like it's that worth it, rather than going for the regular route. But hey, it is what it is. It's cool to have it anyways. You go over another nice trick ramp through some fireballs, as there is a nice section you can skip if you have a mushroom. Otherwise, you go with a nice turn and go past a few mechanical piranha plants. Now, these were originally regular piranha plants, and I saw a few people having issues with them. I really like the difference, because we saw it already with the track right before. There were some piranha plants, like there are piranha plants everywhere, and now it's like a bit different with like mechanical ones that look pretty nice actually. It's just a really nice touch. Same with DK Summit. This track feels a whole lot better with the trick ramps, or the half pipes as you like to call them, being here, because that was a nice little upgrade on the Wii version. So that's also really nice, especially for this section, which you can also now go up a anti-gravity ramp if you pull it off nicely. That's also up next in the next turn, which is just a really nice addition. Like, it doesn't fully change the track, but it makes it a whole lot different if you want it to be. So it's nice and optional. So you can still play it accurately as it was in GameCube and Wii, but also, you know, do it differently as it should. Once again, anti-gravity is here. This is the only track, though, this wave that has anti-gravity, but hey, at least it's more than wave 1. So then you go past another jump or the glider from the second anti-gravity section, and that is pretty much it for Waluigi Stadium. Overall, I don't like that the stadium is wet. That is my main issue. It makes turning feel really awkward in this map, even though I really liked it in Wii and GameCube where it wasn't really wet. I don't know why they necessarily made it like that. Probably since it's like muddy, it's like a racetrack, but still, like in Wii and GameCube, it feels like I have a lot more control over my character than in 8 Deluxe. Also, the first trick ramp seems pretty or like the anti-gravity section after the trick ramp feels pretty useless. But overall, it's a pretty solid track. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. Waluigi Stadium never really was one of my favorites compared to most people. I know a lot of people really like this map. Personally, I would have preferred to have Wario Coliseum, which had never been remade, compared to this track, which has been remade now twice. but still really solid track. I really like how it looks visually. I like that they made it so it's at nighttime rather than daytime. So yeah, really fun track, really enjoyed it, but yeah, it could have been better. I don't know why it's so muddy. I don't hate it. I don't like despise it because of it. I just think it's a bit weird compared to the Wii and GameCube version. I don't think the engine suits it as nicely, but overall it looks amazing. Certain sections are really fun. I like the addition of the anti-gravity section, so I'm going to give it a nice and solid B tier. And wrapping it up, the track that I can't shut up about on my Twitch channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, by the way, in the description down below. Play Mario Kart a whole lot with you guys. It's really fun over there. It is Singapore Speedway, our third city track this wave. And it's kind of interesting that we got 3 city tracks this time around, as usually we only get 2, only at the start of each race, or not race, of each cup. But anyways, here is Singapore Speedway, and I was talking earlier about how much I like that Bangkok looks visually a whole lot different compared to most city tracks. And that is especially true for Singapore Speedway, which pretty much takes place at nighttime. And yeah, overall just is, yeah, it's just great. It's just, I don't know, it just looks so nice with the lights and everything. Anyways, let's just actually get into the track. Where you start out, you just go through the city a little bit and then go up a cannon, just like with DK Summit. So this way they were like, you know what, let's just bring all the cannons. As you go up a, well, I guess you would say it's more of like a resort on a rooftop, where I really like that the enemies there are Goombas in the nice little swimming band that they are in Super Mario 3D World, where they're just, you know, swimming there. And I think that's just a really nice reference to Super Mario 3D World. It's also nice to just dodge him by drifting in there, and otherwise taking a nice boost panels. So you glide back down through a soccer field, and that was it for lap 1. Now, I've seen a lot of people say that they don't like lap 1 as much, as it feels like it's a glorified circle, and it pretty much is. But there's a lot more going on than the circle or oval tracks that we got recently, such as Rock Mountain, such as Sky Sunday, such as Excitebike Arena, and Baby Park. Well, Baby Park is just, you know, a beast in and of itself entirely. But in this version, I don't really mind that it's an oval, because at least in like the section right before the cannon, you go a lot more left and a lot more right. There's a thing you can do a shortcut in, and with most of the other oval tracks, that's not really the case. You go in like a cannon, and afterwards, with the boost panels as well as the nice little swimming pool there's not really like, it doesn't really feel like you're just mainly going forward, since you are like drifting a whole lot. Yeah, the glider section afterwards, yeah, that does feel more like an oval, but overall, I don't think it's as bad as the other oval tracks, especially since there is so much more going on. There's so much more visually pleasing stuff as well. Anyways, that's my lap 1 coverage. We're going to go into lap number 2, which starts off the same way as lap number 1, but instead of going left, we go right through Chinatown, which is, yeah, it could have been bigger, but for what it is, like, it wasn't meant to be like the big part and the selling point of the track, so it's not too bad. I like the nice turns you do in there, and I really like that they changed up the music for both lap 1 and later on lap 1, lap 2, and later on lap 3. Overall, a really cool section that they, I don't know, in my opinion, I don't know much about Singapore, but I feel like most of like the big cities in the world have like Chinatowns, but it's pretty cool that they included it in here. Pretty much makes it like a 2-in-1 deal for city tracks. Then up next, once you're out of Chinatown, you go up a nice glider section, which is also, I was talking about that earlier, that I really like the glider section. This is also one of the coolest glider sections, in my opinion, in the entire game. It looks so visually pleasing, and going through the fountain is really nice, as you can also trick through them. And then rather than going back to where lap 1 and lap 2 started, you just go through you start lap 3 just by jumping through, literally you just jump into lap 3 after a nice trick ramp. It's kind of different, feels like it's more of a sectional track, and that makes it even more fun because you don't really do the same thing all over again. But you go in these nice conveyor belts that really remind me of Toad's Factory. I really hope we still get to see that track too. Then do another nice turn, go up another really cool glider section, which is another one of the best glider sections in this game. I don't know how they did it this way, especially this track, but they made the glider section so much more fun. Usually for me, it's just like waiting up until it's just done. But in this track, and especially also the one I mentioned earlier, it's just so much fun. You go through these rings and then go back towards Chinatown, where you do the one part from lap number 2 again. But once you're done with it, you go towards the left rather than the right, where you would go on lap 2 and finish the track. You can do another nice shortcut there if you have a mushroom on the grass. So there's plenty of shortcut options as well. That is pretty much it for the track. You have a lot of like shortcut opportunities with mushrooms, but mainly what I like about is that there are so many turns, and compared to the tracks such as Amsterdam Drift, they feel a lot more well made and well suited for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe rather than in what was it called, Amsterdam Drift, where it felt more like they were like 90-degree turns, like the one after the other to me. So I really like that. I really like the music. I've talked about that way too much on stream. People know I absolutely adore this track. And yeah, that's why it is going to be going into S tier. Really like the track. Really like the inclusion of Chinatown. So it's like an actual city, but also like included, I guess, a nice bit of reference towards China as well. So it doesn't necessarily need its own city track, but is technically included in some form right here in Singapore Speedway. And this track is just so much fun, and I can't stop smiling while playing on it. And it's gonna go to S tier. It's not as good as Yoshi's Island, because peaking with Yoshi's Island is gonna be very hard to like get over that peak. It's actually gonna be very hard to do that in waves 5 and 6. But for now, it's gonna go into an S tier, and it's an absolutely joy. Definitely, in my opinion, with Sydney, the best city tracks we've gotten so far in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, what did you think? Here is the tier list as it is after wave 4. I hope you guys liked all the explanations and of course my reasoning for tracks for ranking them in each and every way. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did, and I hope to catch you guys once wave 5 comes out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.